Welcome back to Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today is Thursday, October 10th. Excuse me. If you were just tuning in, we just went over the NLCS. Francisco Lindor with a grand slam to send his team to the championship series, setting up a matchup that they'll find out on Friday with a winner-take-all in LA between the Padres and the Dodgers after the Dodgers completely blank the Padres, winning 8-0, just absolutely demolishing that team. Home runs from Mookie Betts, Gavin Lux, Will Smith. They just absolutely demolished them. In this segment, we're taking a look at the other side of the MLB playoff coin, the AL. We have two massive Game 4s, two teams that could get eliminated tonight, and we'll talk about how we got there with the Game 3s and predict Game 4 for both of these series. But before we do that, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Leave a tip or donation with a message in it. That message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you are on YouTube, you can do the same thing on YouTube by using the Super Chat feature. Same thing. A message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else to see. Appreciate anything you guys do give. And if you have a burning question about sports, anything at all you'd like to ask, throw that in the comments. Throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Thursday, October 10th. But like I was saying, we're going to finish off our show here talking about the AL side of the MLB playoffs. What a wild playoffs it has been so far. And we have two Game 4s, two elimination games taking place tonight. One of them, first pitch, is at 6:08, so right after our show, we can spend the rest of the night watching baseball and football and everything else that's going around, hockey if you're into that as well. But starting off with the game that has its first pitch right after we get off the air, that is the Detroit Tigers hosting the Cleveland Guardians with a chance to advance to the ALCS. The Detroit Tigers, we talked about the Mets, how they had that right energy, that right vibe around them. You have to be hot at the right time, and that's part of it too. The Tigers have gone through their own little mini resurrection. They sold at the deadline. We talked about Jack Flaherty, how he was on the Tigers, traded to the Dodgers. They were selling. They were ready to go out, prepare for next season. But no. Instead, the Tigers go on a heater. An absolute heater. They are the hottest team at baseball heading into the playoffs. They had a 0.2% chance on August 11th, a 0.2% chance to make the playoffs. And now they are hosting a playoff game with the chance to advance. They could advance to the ALCS on their home field tonight. But this is how we got here. Last night, the Detroit Tigers hosted the Cleveland Guardians. It was an afternoon game, happened while we were live. The end of it did. And once again, the pitching for the Tigers, they didn't even have Skubal in this one, but the bullpen was efficient. They were able to escape some early jams that they got in by Herter, who went 3 1/3 innings, and they did not let the Cleveland Guardians score. For the second straight game, the final score was 3-0. No fireworks at the end, no drama like that, but the Cleveland offense needs to get some life going. That is now 2 straight games where they have been held scoreless. They've combined for no runs and 9 hits in the last 18 innings of baseball that they have played. That is unacceptable for playoff level baseball. You're supposed to have some bats. Josh Naylor came in playing some really good baseball. Jose Ramirez, one home run shy of a 40-40 season, probably the quietest near 40-40 season ever. They need to get his bat going. Lane Thomas had a home run in Game 1, but he's been kind of quiet since coming over at the trade deadline. This is a Guardians team that desperately needs some guys not named Steven Kwan to come through. Steven Kwan is doing his thing. He's hitting .455 in the playoffs. He's not a power guy, though. He's not going to be able to push you through. They need their big boys to step up. They need a big game from Jose Ramirez in this one. But the Tigers, one game away from making it to the ALCS. And on the mound tonight for them, it's going to be Reese Olson, the other half of their starting pitching duo. We talk about Tariq Skubal for good reason. Tariq Skubal is awesome, but Reese Olson has been not equally as awesome, but really good this year. He's been that back half, that number 2 to Skubal's number 1. The Guardians throwing Tanner Beebe, who was the guy that they put up against Skubal earlier on in the series. This is a must-win game. This should be a fun pitching matchup. That's been the theme of it, right? Great pitching throughout this series, which is not what you expected out of these teams, out of the Guardians at least. Guardians have good pitching, don't get me wrong, but shutdown pitching has been their starting pitching has probably been their biggest weakness. The Tigers, outside of Skubal, Reese Olson, have not had the greatest starting pitching. It's the bullpen for the Guardians. It's the offense for the Tigers that has been really pushing them, and Skubal, of course. But still, this is a huge matchup, and I expect this to be low scoring, just like the rest of them have been. I'm not saying it's going to be another 3-0 outcome, but still, this should be a low scoring one. Whoever strikes first is going to win this game. That's how it's been all series long. Obviously, game 1, Cleveland hops out to a big first inning lead, blanks the Tigers. Then Tigers get on the board first in game 2 in the 9th inning. Of course, no one scores until the 9th inning. They blank the Guardians. And then last night, the Tigers get on the board first, this time in the first or second inning, and they blank the Guardians again. So it's just going to be a matter of who gets on the board first, and I am leaning towards the Tigers in this one. I think the Tigers clinch the championship series, and then sit back and watch the Royals take on the Yankees in an elimination game, potentially a Game 5 coming on Saturday. But talking about that Yankees-Royals series, that has been an equally close one. Both of these teams have been, I don't want to say playing their best baseball, because I don't think these teams have been playing their best baseball, but it's been a fun series to watch. It's been a heart-racing series. It's been one of those series where it feels like at any moment either of these teams could collapse, and we saw the most lead changes in the history of playoff baseball in Game 1 of this series. We talked about it on yesterday's show, but last night's game was no different. The New York Yankees take an early lead off of Giancarlo Stanton double in the 4th inning. Then Soto has a sac fly to extend the lead to 2-0. A double in the 5th inning for the Royals gets it to 1, and then what could have been the play of the game, Juan Soto dives for a ball in the outfield, just barely misses it. Comes oh so close to keeping the Royals off of the board, goes under his glove, rolls back. It is a game-tying triple, but with 2 outs, they're not able to score Massey. He's stuck on third. Then we get scoreless for a while. The bullpen's really shutting each of these teams down before Giancarlo Stanton, the guy who hits the ball harder than anybody else in the game of baseball, the guy who is built like a semi-truck, comes out there in the 8th inning and just tanks one over the wall in Kauffman Stadium, a deep stadium, a pitcher's ballpark, one of the biggest stadiums in all of the MLB. It doesn't matter, into the fountains over there. Giancarlo Stanton gives the Yankees the win, and now they are 1 game away from advancing to the ALCS. If the Yankees don't make it to the ALCS, it is an issue. I'll just state that bluntly. If they don't make it to the ALCS, there is a chance they fire their manager. Now, I don't think they're going to, but I think there's going to be some angry New York fans if they don't win either of these next 2 games. Because, and not solely, because first of all, they have the expectation. They have Soto, they have Judge. They don't know if they're ever going to have that duo ever again. Soto is a free agent next season. He's probably going to come back. But there's a good chance that he doesn't come back too. It doesn't seem like a lock that he's coming back to the Yankees, but probably the number 1 option. I'd say 60% Yankees, 40% anywhere else. that anywhere else, probably being 20% Nats, honestly. But that's a discussion for after the World Series is over and we know exactly what's going on. This is a huge game, a huge series for the Yankees. The Royals obviously have had a storybook season themselves. Lost 100 games last year, have now made it to the ALDS. Playing against the New York Yankees, the evil empire. They won a game. They had the chance to take home field advantage and win at home if they won the next two. Didn't happen. They can still stave off elimination in their home field. This is a Kansas City team that I think is really good. They signed Bobby Witt to obviously the big money deal before the season started. They are throwing Michael Wacha versus Garrett Cole, and that is just how it goes sometimes. The Yankees save their big guns for this one. They want to get out fast. They don't want to worry about anything, but Garrett Cole has been touchable. He's a guy that if you get too early, especially in the playoffs, if you get to him early, he doesn't settle down. So the Royals need to attack early in this game if they want to win. Michael Wacha has been solid all season, but he's not a Garrett Cole level starter. He's not a Cole Reagans level starter. If they can get it to a decisive game 5, I think the Kansas City Royals have the edge due to pitching on this one. But it should be a good game. This is a game that, as much as I want to pick the Royals, as much as I think it would be fun for the underdog to go through, this is a team that, again, lost 106 games last season. And as much as you can say that as a success story, because it is, they're in the playoffs. They won 86 games this year. This is a good Royals team. They have maybe the most complete player on the planet in Bobby Witt Jr. We're talking elite and all 5 tools: speed, power, defense, everything. You've got it, the complete package over there in Bobby Witt, and he's locked up. You've got the old vet in good old Salvi Perez right there, having a resurgent season of his own in Kansas City. This is a huge game for them. I just don't think they're going to be able, with the way their offense has been playing, to attack Garrett Cole, get him off of his get him out of his correct mind space. That's what they need to do, and I don't think they're going to be able to do that today. I'm leaning towards the Yankees in this one, and I think the Yankees meet the Tigers in the ALCS. If that happens, we'll do predictions. Obviously, we need to wait for all these series to wrap up, but we'll do AL and LCS predictions when we have it. Currently, my World Series prediction is still alive over there in San Diego, but it's getting a little bit dicey. Should be a lot of fun. Playoff baseball has been awesome. I know it's competing with football today. I know there's a lot of competition out there, but go check in. It's not a sport you need to have on 24/7. You can kind of just have it on in the background. That's the beauty of baseball. Go check it out. It's the playoffs. It should be awesome. But thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in to today's episode of Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I have been your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Tomorrow, it is Friday. You know what that means. Game picks. We're going over the college football slate, the best of the year. We get number 2 versus number 3. Penn State taking on a huge opponent. We have LSU, Ole Miss, huge matchups happening this week. We'll break down all of them, and of course, the NFL games. So make sure you tune in for that tomorrow. We'll be back here same time, same place for all of that and more. I will see you then. You all have a good one. Bye-bye.